go into the advisory and speak about how one can approach intergenerational wealth transfer with purpose and intent. Kreston Leggett from Arrow Private Wealth joining me now. Great to have you with us, Kreston. I mean, this is sort of the biggest intergenerational wealth transfer that we're seeing underway in the next decade or so ever. What is sort of, in your view, some of the best way that people can pass on their legacy?
Yeah, it's a great question. And like we talk about with our clients, it all comes to this point of purpose. And so for many of the conversations that we have, it doesn't actually start with the solution. It starts with the why. And part of that is just opening a discussion. So for many of our clients, they've gotten to a point where they've built a level of financial security for themselves, and so they transition from this point of wealth accumulation to this to an area of wealth preservation, and this preservation then extends to areas of philanthropic giving or succession planning, and they're the conversations that we get to be part of. And so I suppose the most important part is to your question is it's having the conversation and seeing where that leads to from a values perspective.
So I guess this is the main important part, isn't it? Having these conversations, and particularly when people are still in good health, so that the members of the family know what's going on. How do you sort of balance capital growth, though, and the responsibility of the stewardship of this wealth transfer?
So it comes down to really having a defined purpose for different parts of your financial position. So as I said, for many of our clients, they have a pool of wealth that is clearly will provide for their life needs. And for our affluent client base, there is a part to their financial position that is clearly has a greater purpose because they have the means to support themselves from other areas. So using those other buckets, they can then think more broadly around what are some of the things that are close to their heart that will allow them to give with purpose.
So when we're talking about some of these high net wealth individual families in particular, there's a lot given away as well, so philanthropic events. What sort of financial tools do you see here for wealth management?
Yeah, there's a couple of different areas, and it really comes down to what is exactly the purpose behind the giving. So for a lot of families, this is encompassed through their own families. Children is obviously the biggest part of giving, and it's fair to say as a generalisation that Australians do have a heart posture for giving, whether it's their time, whether it's their energy, but also with their financial capability. So for many of our clients, at the first point of call, it's around how can they support their family as they've done throughout their lives. Beyond that, certain clients will have particular values around certain charitable organisations that they've been affiliated with, or things that have been dear to their heart for a long time. So there are different instruments that will support those different giving types, and so it really comes down to how much control you are in need of, how much ownership do you need, and the balance between those two to ultimately give the best benefit to the things that are important to those particular individuals.
And we talk a lot about, as we mentioned at the top, this talking about things, making sure that you have a plan in place. You say that some of the biggest risks are often rational, not market related. So how much then is this open communication, education piece really, really important?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. So you often hear on the flip side that when communication stops, that's what leads to issues. And very much our whole purpose is to actually do the opposite. So by having conversation, you're getting everything on the table from that, this first generation to the next generation, to the intended beneficiaries if they are outside the family, so to speak. Once you start that communication, then it gives a platform for these values to be spoken about from multiple different perspectives. And so that's what will ultimately give clarity to some of the things that will be important between different participants of this whole topic. So communication is one of the central pieces to all of this for it to come together in the right way. So communication doesn't just happen once. It's an ongoing process that will ultimately lead to the outcomes that are desired by all the participants, as I suggested.